Hey, what's up guys? This is going to be another online battle. I am playing as Macedon. The reason I chose Macedon is I've played a couple games today, and I was trying out a bunch of different factions, just trying to get a feel for kind of what the typical builds are that people are using, and I found a guy who was playing, I played a round as Egypt against him, and he beat me, so I decided to actually try Macedon again, and sort of use a lot of the thorax spears, which is a build he used, along with a lot of aspis and companions. Now in his build, he had some more skirmishers than I did. Here I just have two of these mercenary peltas, and then I also have two of those royal peltas who are very good attack stats. Anyways, I'm moving up here. My opponent is going to be Egypt, so you'll see in this scenario it's kind of been inverted. Again, it's a different opponent. But here we get a view of his army here. I'm just doing some scouting over the hill, and I can tell he's moving straight up, so that's why I went around the flank. And what I'm going to try and do is bait his guys over here. That's something I like to do with my cav. It just keeps my opponents on his toes and also keeps my micro up. And I like baiting in and out with the cav, in and out with the cav. And if he has any archers or something like that, they might shoot at me. But because the cav can retreat in fast enough time, you usually don't get hit and you just end up expending some of his missiles. And sometimes you can land a good strike, so I'm going to here pretend that I'm going to land an attack and then retreat. It's not really phasing him, he's just moving forward. But, you know, I figured I might as well do it to kill time. Anyways, you can see this guy here. I pretended to pull him back, and then I stopped him, so he's hidden. So my opponent thinks I'm in full retreat here. This gives me an opportunity to move forward with my cavalry. Preemptively, I'm also sending in some spears because I know he's going to want to react with his own cav to stop me from getting these skirmishers. So I'm obviously moving in spears, and that's something you want to do. Like I always say, is think how your opponent's going to react. So as a result of this, he's kind of pulling back his center. He's afraid of this assault, and he's going to move in his cavalry wings to try and crush me here. But of course, that's why I brought in my spears to support them. So I'm going to pull out. I knocked out one of his units. So I'm going to pull back. That's enough of a win for me. The rest of my forces here are going to try and angle in for an attack. I saw that those peltas were exposed, so I'm moving in some spears. Meanwhile, and I'm going to tell those guys to pull out on a wider flank. You can see he's starting to chase me here, but that's fine. I got my pike wall here set up, and his cavalry are going to be warded off. So that's how you get in and out attacking skirmishers, is you know, try and hide your guys, use the line of sight mechanism, and then always move up support. So my opponent is trying to swing just as wide as I am, so that's I'm not going to be getting around quite yet, but I know that his main infantry formation is out of position, so I'm going to try and capitalize on that and sort of force a wedge between his wing here and his main body. So that's why I'm moving these guys up here. And on the left, I'm going to try and keep some of his forces distracted here. So I'm going to move my horses behind the crest of the hill so my opponent doesn't quite know what I'm doing. And then I'm going to keep lining up my forces here. I'm going to push this flank because I know I have 3 cav. He only has 2, and he has 2 of these light infantry units. I'm pretty sure I can take them. And once I get that flank knocked out, then the mobility advantage is mine. And one of the problems with the armies that my opponent brought is that he has a lot of spears and not any solid sword infantry, which is odd because Egypt does have access to the Galatian heavy infantry. And the problem with having all spears like this, oh, he does have swords, as you can see here, are melee units, but they're very weak. The problem with that is you kind of have to rely on your opponent charging your spears, and it doesn't allow you to be very mobile. So here I'm being more aggressive, and what I'm trying to do is tie down his forces here. I charged right through one of his units here, the axeman, and I tied down some of his cavalry units. I'm not expecting to win that engagement outright, but what I am expecting is my reinforcements to come in as these guys are tied down. Get an advantage here. He's charging in with 1 cavalry unit, and so I'm going to choose to just retreat, pull him further into my territory, and then attack with on 2 flanks. You can see here he's decided to push the advantage here, and all I have to do is just retreat here. So because his spears are slow, he doesn't have enough cav, that's what I can do. So attack on one wing and retreat on the other. Don't always feel like you have to keep up the engagement. If you're winning one wing, retreat with the other as long as it doesn't compromise your flank. That's why I have 2 units sitting here who are supposed to keep his main body away. That's the wedge in his line. He's charging his cav recklessly through here, so I'm going to turn around and engage him. What he's hoping to do, however, is to catch me long enough for his spear body to move up, so that's a good move. At the same time, however, he has left this wing isolated, and some of his straggling units in the back there are going to be open up for a cav attack from my guys. So, yeah, I'm wrapping up this flank here. You can see his main body over there is getting dangerously close to my men. So I'm just going to keep pulling him back. He doesn't have enough cavalry. If he had some more cavalry there, he could try and engage some of my guys in the back. Even if there are spears, just tie him up for a little bit and charge more of my guys. But that was kind of the fault in my opponent's build. I ended up bringing more cavalry and use them more effectively than he did. Now that I knocked out this wing, at least his cavalry, I can start swinging my own cav around, and right here what you can see is he actually pulled that unit that was engaged with his own cavalry, and he moved his cavalry behind his spears, which pulled my guys. He sort of exploited the AI and pulled them through his own spears, and he nearly just killed my general, or not my general, but that was one of my strong spears. He's charging in one of his cavalry here. He thinks he can knock out my cav. That's a very good move. However, he doesn't have much support, and with my cav freed up on this flank, I can go and attack them. Here, his Hellenic Royal Guard got caught up on my guys while they were out of position. That's fine. I'll go ahead and accept that fight. Over here, he managed to get off a charge while I didn't turn around in time, but that's fine. I'm going to move in some guys to reinforce. What's happening here is I'm retreating all of my guys, obviously, and my opponent was trying to force me towards the red line, so I move my guys off to the side, and I'm bringing these guys in to try and save them. So that's something you got to be mindful of, is the red line does actually take effect. He's trying to get these guys out of the battlefield, so I'm going to try and cut these guys off, not just clicking attack order with all of them. I'm going to move one of my cav units towards the main body of his forces, because I know that's the only place he can feasibly run to. These guys are going to go ahead and meet them head on. And I figured these cav are already isolated, so I'm going to sort of launch a trample attack, knock them out. My opponent is trying to pull back some forces and save them. He doesn't want to lose the whole cav advantage, because then I can win. So I know he's microing on the left, and that's when I'm going to start moving in my Peltas here and start taking out some of his Royal Hellenic Guard units. I know those are going to be the hardest to kill. That's the bulk of his line, and so while he's distracted on the left, I'm going to take advantage of his immobility. And with these cavalry units, like I always say, don't always think you have to charge all your units headlong into one after the other. Make sure you send some guys around the flanks and get a different angle of attack. He's moving in 2 more of his units on the left, so I'm sending in just 1 more of my pike units. One of these guys back here came back from routing. So my opponent is thinking he can bog me down here long enough to get his infantry into the fight. That's a good move, and it might prove victorious, but what you can see over here is that he's left these guys all alone. These are just spears, and they're outnumbered, so that means I can just kite them, move my skirmishers back, and the more he pushes towards my skirmishers, the more I get to move my my more numerous troops around his flanks. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. That's a strategy that you guys will see me employ a lot, is just moving up the flanks and retreating the center. It's pulling your enemy out of position. It almost always works, and especially towards the later end of a battle like this, when your opponent might not be as mobile, that's always going to be a good strategy. So my opponent decides he's going to attack one of my wings. That's a smart move. He's going to attack me where I'm weakest. And yeah, that's probably a good move, but the problem is he doesn't really have any support for those guys, so I retreat my wing, move my center back in, and because I have Peltas there, anytime he's going to be caught without sort of flat on his feet, I can just get some more kills. I'm going to put Rapid Shot on real quick and try and take out as many of his men as possible. That's one of the reasons I do bring these just kind of these mercenary Peltas, is because they are very useful against armored units. They have good armor penetration up close, and you can see just I'm nailing his guys, and that's why I bring them. I keep them close to the infantry fight, and then for occasions like this, it allows me to do these kind of tactics, and it can really put the hurt on his men and really take them down, lower their morale right before they engage with my forces. He's going to be fed up, charge after my guys. You can see he's out of pike formation. At this point, it's maybe better for him to charge in at my skirmishers, because the more he waits, the more damage he's going to take. But when he does that, he loses formation, he loses the advantage of having a pike wall, and I can charge in with my just my standard units, or my melee units, and take him out right away. So that's going to be basically how the battle ends. My opponent either quits or draws or pulls, whatever. I know there's a glitch where if you quit, it might say you pulled a plug and it calls it a draw. It's kind of weird. Anyways, thanks so much to my opponent for the battle. Here you can see the stats, and I hope you guys can learn from this. I definitely learned from the last opponent who I said I lost to. I used kind of a similar build as him, and I enjoyed it. So hopefully you guys can learn from me, and yeah, see ya.